Aquarius, welcome to your hope, fear, and reality spread. As per usual, you can click right on that description box below and it will talk about the significance of the spread as well as the placement of each card. I've organized the playlist by astrological sign with the most recent moving backwards, and I will not upload last week's video to the playlist until I'm done uploading this week's video to YouTube. So, by late this afternoon, the playlists will be updated. Hmm. Interesting. So, there's one of two ways I can look at this, Aquarius. One, you are riding a fine line between success and excess. Okay. And what I mean by that is, so the devil card here, people get nervous when the devil card comes up. I don't know why. Well, I understand because a lot of times it can represent bad habits, vices, addictions, things like that. But what this card actually represents is that there's a fine line between handling something that's slightly dangerous and going overboard and causing yourself harm. So, a good way to look at it is, well, first off, these two people here who are chained, they can actually get out of those chains, but they choose not to. So, one way to look at this is we'll go with the easiest. Instead of looking at vices and bad habits, we'll look at addiction. There are some people who can go out and have a glass of wine 2 or 3 times a week, and all they need is a glass of wine. You know, if the wine wasn't there, they wouldn't have a problem. They'd still go about their lives. Um, but there are some people who, once they pick up a glass of wine, they have to have a second glass of wine. They have to have a third glass of wine, and then that comes from once or twice a week to every day at some point, and that's how alcoholism starts. So there's a fine line between. It's not about the chain. The alcohol didn't necessarily do something bad. It's how you use it. It's choosing that chain over and over that becomes the vice and the bad habit. Okay. And then you have the high priestess here. So there's two ways I can look at this right now. Either you know you're falling back into bad habits. Either you are perfectly aware that you have crossed that line between accomplishing something or enjoying something and moving into that where it's just overtaking you. Or you know that somebody else is doing this. Either way, you are perfectly aware that you are suffering the consequences of bad habits, be it yours or somebody else's. You are aware that this is a overwhelming situation and that at some point a line has been crossed. And in all honesty, you fear the truth coming forward. Okay? You're caught up in a situation that now feels like it's beyond your control, and something deep inside you fears the truths being uncovered. Because, in all honesty, whether you've gone too far or whether somebody else has gone too far, you didn't necessarily handle yourself appropriately. This might be one of those situations where everybody has a hand to play, where 100% blame doesn't fall on any one person. 100, the blame is split up, and some of it, even if it's just a small portion, belongs to you as well. And that's what you fear. See, what you want to do is you want to point out where everybody else was wrong, because what you don't want to see is the things that you could have done better. The reality of the situation is there is going to be a return on investment in behavior whether you want it or not. So whatever you put out there, whether you were intending to do good or whether you were intending to do harm, that's going to come back to you because this is the card of return on investment. So whatever it is you put out is going to come back, okay? And even if you walk away from the situation, you'll just find it elsewhere. Because when this card comes out, there's always a karmic cycle attached to it. And what I mean by karmic cycle, so some people get very confused by karma, is they think what comes around goes around. And that's one pillar of the 12 rules of karma. If you've ever studied Buddhism, karma has like these 12 rules. And you know, what you put out into the universe is what you receive is definitely one of those rules. But when we talk about karmic cycles, there's another rule in there that says you are destined to repeat the same mistake over and over until you learn your lesson from that mistake, and then you go within and make a change. So, if this bad habit or this toxic situation that you are perfectly aware of feels familiar because you've been through it once, twice, or 3 times before, well, in all honesty, there's only one common denominator, and that's you, okay? So how are you dealing with and handling this situation compared to how you've done it in the past? If you always do, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. Okay? So if you're handling it the exact same way that you handle it before, chances are it'll end the exact same way it'll end before. And you'll get the karma the same way you got it before. And even if you walk away and leave the situation, you'll go find yourself in this situation elsewhere. You see, the universe is trying to teach you a lesson about what you can change within yourself. And once you can change something within yourself, then you can bring it into fruition in the world. So this is more than just blaming your circumstances or blaming other people. There's a role and responsibility that you have yourself. No, I'm not saying everybody else in this situation is perfect in any way, shape, or form. But what I'm saying is this energy goes 2 ways. And you need to accept that. And it literally just started pouring outside. Yeah, see? You're trying to build on an unsolid foundation, and that's what's causing you stress. And I was surprised that the 2 of Wands didn't come out. And then, boom, here it is. So the reason I say this is because it's exactly what I just explained. So it came out in the inverse, just so you know. So I'm going to explain that in just a moment. But the 2 of Wands is about somebody looking at a globe. I don't know if you can see the globe. There we go. You can see the globe in his hands. So he's looking at his world and his perspective and recognizing that he needs to make a change in his perspective and his actions before he can choose to bring that change into the actual world, before he can bring that into full fruition, okay? Which is kind of what I was talking about before. But yours is in the inverse, showing your unwillingness to change something within you in order to get a different outcome. So like I said, you have this unsolid foundation that you're trying to build on, and that's what's causing you stress. There's something that you need to do different in order to change the situation. Because if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. I'm going to repeat that. If you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. Aquarius, I hope you found a message that serves your highest good, and I will see you next week.